Well, I don't want you to think that we define Nanda's value by what the police force thinks of us. But nevertheless, um, for the past 2 or 3 years, we've had a beautiful event here started out being called the Tulip Festival. Now we call it Springtime at Ananda. And we had many thousands of people come. It just totally blew our minds between the 8,000 tulips and Nettries, maple scones. We had people from all over California coming. But after the festival was over, one day, Anandi, who works here at the Expanding Light, was bringing a group of our guests over to the Crystal Hermitage, where you all will go this afternoon for a wonderful experience. And she was going there, and all of a sudden she saw a police car pull up. And two police officers got out looking very serious, and they had all their paraphernalia, their guns and flashlights and pagers, and, they have all these fun toys. And Anandi, trying to be serviceful, said, excuse me, officers, is there a problem? And they said, oh, no, we just wanted to come see the tulips. So beauty appeals to the hearts of everyone. Swamiji has been saying for many years that Master is the avatar for Dwapara Yuga. And what does that mean? Dwapara Yuga is the age of energy. Master is the agent of God who has come to awaken receptive souls into the possibility of what this age of energy is. Now, for most people, energy, enhanced energy, means having a little more caffeine in the morning. So you see people going and getting their power drinks, and I don't even know what they're all called, but you just see these trucks passing on the highway with this sort of lightning bolt coming out of them, and you know that there are waiting souls to get their jolt or bolt or brain knockout, whatever it is. And caffeine will indeed give you more mental energy, but it's got its downside. There's always, everything in this world has its up and its down. Swamiji said, the one thing you can count on about Maya was that it's always, always true, that it will never fulfill its promise. So that's a great thought, isn't it? You can count on it. Never to really come through in the end. In case you're wondering, well, maybe this is going to work out. Maybe if I have a double shot, I'll really feel better. No, it will always betray its promise. So what are we talking about in this age of energy? It's the internal energy that comes as all the things that Jyotish and Ananta have been speaking about, when we focus our energy, when we come together with like-minded people. And there are 4 aspects that I want to talk about: how rural brotherhood communities are a path to freedom, how they can bring us individually closer to God, and how they can make an impact to change the world. And these 4 things are cooperation, observation, fun, and everything. And that's an acronym for coffee. But this is our own kind of coffee. So the first one, cooperation. When those of us, well, let me just say, last night we had a thrilling experience. We had an orientation, which is generally not thrilling. But we asked at one point, and there were maybe 100 people, we asked, how many of you here, and I had no idea what the response would be, how many of you here were born in a country other than America? 1/3 of the people present last night raised their hand. They were from Romania and Poland, and several from India, Ireland, El Salvador, Colombia, and it was amazing. I mean, we just all paused and said, my God, the presence of a new consciousness that's moving through. But when we start school, we're taught to think in terms of right and wrong, black and white. This is the right answer and this is the wrong answer. And you really want to give the right answer because that's what the teacher wants, and then you get a really good grade, and then whatever good things happen after that. You get a star, you get a scholarship, whatever, you get a good job. But one of the things, and I was good at that, I was good at giving the right answer, and my mind could really say this is right and this is wrong, and I could judge. And then I came to Ananda, and I had to just leave all that behind because I began associating with people who were so transcendent, so beyond black and white, right and wrong, and check the true and false. It was like, it's all true. It's all good. And then when you come together with communities, you begin realizing my opinion is not the only one that's important. My opinion may not even be right. What a novel thought. I saw a bumper sticker once that said, "Don't believe everything you think." And for me, it's such an important thing of what Ananda is about. And cooperating with people, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's going to work. But what difference does that make? I may not even agree with what you're doing, but let me be respectful about it anyway. And let me be supportive in what you're doing. And I've watched Swamiji and I've watched other people just say, let me be open. Let me cooperate with others. Let me cooperate with their thoughts, their interests, their desires. And that's part of the magic of what this community is. Yesterday, when we were touring Swamiji around, it was another thrilling experience. And we went from place to place, and we saw group after group of people working cooperatively, harmoniously, selflessly together. And you could feel that people were trying to, we've often used the slogan when we come to a point where we can't come to a consensus with a group, we use the slogan, what is trying to happen here? Not what do I want to happen here? And this is so beautifully demonstrated. We have, as Ananta mentioned, we have a membership. We don't call it a committee anymore. We call it a membership ministry. And we begin we list all the people that are applying for new membership, that are our new members, and we pray for every single one of them for their highest step. We have a housing ministry. And to me, I'm not a part of that. I'm part of the membership ministry. But I love the stories that come because housing is such a kind of a gut level security thing. Where am I going to live? Where's my house? What if I don't like the house? And very often, in fact, I would say most of the time, people are changing houses here. It's sort of, and it's not arbitrary, it's not random, it's not frivolous, but maybe someone has a new child, they need more space. Maybe someone's children have grown, they can downsize. Maybe for whatever reason. And so we have these membership meetings, and we list on the board all the available housing, and all the people come together. And by trying to say, what does God want? Not what do I want? People say, well, they need that more than I do. Yes, let them have that. And it's like this living a sense of divine cooperation. I remember after the forest fire in 1976, when all of us, the community was burnt to the ground, we had very little resources left to rebuild. It was like walking off the end of a cliff and just saying, how far is the bottom? I don't know, but all I can do is take the next step. And there were people, there's that old expression, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, many people left in those days. They didn't want to be that tough. They didn't want to stick it out to rebuild. And so people were leaving. We had a little bit of resources that had come in donation, a couple of $1,000s. Rather than saying, well, they're leaving, let them do their own thing, we gave that money to the people who were leaving, not to the people who were staying, because we knew what we had. We had the power of community and master, and they were going out into a cold world, and we knew they needed that money more than we did. And so cooperation with the highest in each other, and more than that, cooperation with God's will. That if someone could ask me, what's the story of Ananda, I would say learning to cooperate with the will of God. And it is the most freeing experience in the world because you just get yourself totally out of the way and you say, God, what would you like to see happen? Not, can I do it? Is it practical? Will it work? None of those. But God, what would you like to see happen? There is another line from the Nayaswami vows. I will feel that not only the fruit of my labor, but the labor itself is only thine. And this is the line I love. Act through me always, Lord, to accomplish thy design. We just want to do what you want. It's like being in the studio of a master artist, Michelangelo, and let him draw in the lines. And you can draw the lines. You can color it in. We can color it in, but let God draw the lines. And the freedom that comes. That's why it's so thrilling that the 4th of July is the anniversary of Ananda Cooperative Community, Ananda World Brotherhood Colony, because it's about freedom. Not freedom to live in the ego, but freedom to choose to do God's will. So cooperation. The second part of our coffee drink this morning is observation. What does that mean? It means watching. Watching yourself and watching other people. Swami said one of the great things about communities is you don't have to make all the mistakes. Other people will do it for you. And you know, I just want to say, without judgment, without saying, oh, that person really blew it, but just say, wow, look what happens when you do that. Thank you. Thank you for making that mistake. No, I don't have to do it. And sincerely, we are all moving forward on behalf of each other. And when we get it right, not to say, oh, I got it right, but just say, look, it really works. It really works if you no longer relate to your friends and your family members as your own. This is mine, my child, my husband, my friend. This is God's child. This is God's husband. This is God's friend. And when you get it right, other people can see it and they can feel it. So observation, looking at other people's lives and saying, that person's really happy. Why is that? Because they're working, living in such a way that really works. And as I say, when someone makes a mistake, if you have the ability not to, I came to this realization once when I saw someone making a mistake, I thought, don't judge, because the only reason you're not doing this, making that mistake in this life, is you did it before. And you understand, this person hasn't made that mistake yet. You were ahead of them on making the mistake, and you learned. And so to observe and to see how lives unfold when what works and what doesn't work. The third part of our coffee drink is fun. Once, Jyotish quoted once when Swami was asked, what is Ananda's mission? He said, to equalize the world on the spiritual plane. Another time when someone asked him, and you know, Swami's always in the moment, so that was appropriate to that moment. Another time someone asked kind of pompously, what is Ananda's mission? And he said, to have fun. But fun is more than just fun and games. It's to live in joy. As Ananta was describing, it's everything you're doing can be fun. If it's painting, if it's carpentry, if it's cooking, whatever it could be. It's to have fun and to do it creatively. I remember once some years ago, we're having a big Indian banquet up at our meditation retreat, and we didn't have electricity there at the time. Still, but but in any case. And so I went in and I said, what can I do to help? And the cook, being a discerning cook, said, you can juice the lemons, knowing that would my skill level at the time. So they gave me a big box of lemons and a little hand juicer, and I just went and I was having a great time. And then one of the karma yogis came by, and they could tell I was having fun. And they said, oh, that looks like fun. Can I help? And I said, of course. Go get a juicer and a little hand juicer in a bowl, and we divided the lemons, and then we both were juicing. But I was having fun, and he wasn't, because he didn't realize that the fun was not in the juicing the lemons. It was just in yourself. And so he said, I think your juicer's better than mine. And I said, fine, let's trade. So we traded juicers. And then we're going away. And he goes, I think your lemons are better than mine. I He said, fine, let's trade. So we traded, and he did a few more minutes. He goes, I have to go do something else. I said, fine. But it's to find the fun in whatever you do and to be constantly creative in that. Swamiji never stops creating. And over the years, I could give you so many examples from the very mundane and simple to grand world movements. But there was a period where, for several years, where every week he would make his coffee in a different way. And he'd come, would you make me a cup of coffee? And he'd do it. Oh, that's not how I'm making my coffee. And then he had filters and funnels and coffee socks. And it was amazing. But it was just simply, make my coffee, pour it in, do it the same every morning. But to do things with creativity. And one of the things that is so thrilling at Ananda, and when Swamiji walked around yesterday on the tour, you could see so many new projects. Even from when we left on Monday to go pick him up to when I came back, there's a whole new herb garden out behind the Expanding Light kitchen that wasn't there when I left. And it's just amazing. And I want to just touch very lightly on two new projects that we want you all to know about, very appropriate for Ananda's anniversary. One, they're both being launched this weekend. One is been in the works for 6 years, off and on, but the AnandaVillage.org website is launched. God bless all the great souls who did this. And you can learn all about the community. And we've always had Ananda.org. That's our worldwide Sangha outreach, but this is AnandaVillage.org. And the beautiful thing is the URL, AnandaVillage.org, was taken, and so we were kind of trying to fuss around and do something similar. Just the week before we were going to launch it, somehow that web title became available, and we got AnandaVillage.org. I don't know why. But then the other and fun new project, for those of you who will be leaving and who have loved this experience, we are launching this weekend Ananda Virtual Community. Wherever you are, let's give this a wonderful hand. And if we can have Dharma Devi, who's back there, this is going out live right now, and Narayan, stand up, Narayan. So they'll come up to the stage afterwards, and if you would like to know more about how you can be a part of Ananda Virtual Community, talk to them. It's going to be a fabulous way to be a part. We'll have of this wonderful Sangha wherever you are. We'll have teachers from all of our communities. We'll have from all over the world, from Assisi and India. We'll have all the live telecasts with Swamiji. We'll have live kirtans, live sadhana, voice lessons, everything. It's just thrilling, the potential. So these two initiatives are both being launched this weekend. And if you'd like to continue your contact, then talk to Dharma, Devi, and Narayan, who are really putting tremendous creative energy into that. So having fun. And then finally, our coffee drink, the last component, is everything. And that means give the opportunity to give life, as Swami says, give life your heart, bless everything that's grown, to give everything you have, the best, sometimes not the best, but we give it. I remember one of the first year or two I was here, before the Expanding Light even existed. None of this existed. We didn't own this property. We had our meditation, the meditation retreat was up at what is now called in general the meditation retreat. And I was on the staff there. And it was amazing. I don't know how we did it. We had no telephones. We had no internet, and internet didn't exist. I don't even know how we got reservations, but we did. And we ran this retreat, and people came. It was really carrier pigeon technology. But I remember it was Spiritual Renewal Week, and we were so busy, and people were coming in. It was always chaotic because we never knew who was going to come, and we had limited facilities. And so all the cabins were filled, all the tents were filled. People were just putting sleeping bags down in the grass, and finally and we were running nonstop, cooking in the kitchen and getting a sleeping bag or something. And finally, every sleeping bag was given away, every pillow, every pad. There was nothing left to give. And then I was at the desk. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and some young man drove up, and he said, "Oh, I'd like to stay here." We had nothing to give him. And then I thought, oh, I've got a sleeping bag in my little trailer where I'm living. So I ran back and gave him my pad and my sleeping bag and my pillow. And I said, here, just set it up under a tree somewhere. And then the next morning I saw Swamiji. And he didn't know. You don't have to tell him the details. But he just looked at me and he said, now you're getting the idea. And I just thought, oh, I thought I was doing pretty good before. But this is everything. The opportunity not to hold back. And when you watch Swamiji, work, it is so thrilling. We went for a walk with him the other day, and I said that one of the things I love about watching you work, Swami, is that you never say it's good enough until it really is. How many times have you been working on something, whatever it is, cooking, writing, gardening, whatever it is, cleaning, and you say, oh, it's good enough. And you know in your heart that little part wasn't done. Well, just to say everything has to be in God's light. Every single aspect of this community has to be in God's light. It was so beautiful. I hope this story will make sense to you, will touch your heart. It did mine. We took Swamiji around the Sangha office yesterday, and he was going in all the different offices, and there was one little place in the office where one of our community members, who was an older woman, and she had a blackout right at that spot, and she hit her head on this very sharp edge and cut her head, and there was a lot of blood there. We had to get a ambulance, take her to the hospital, and we cleaned it up, and it's fine. But there was always a little shadow for me right in that place. Swami stood right there. I watched him. He stood right there and was talking to people, and I thought, I'm sure he's not conscious. We didn't say this is where she fell down, this is where she cut her head open. But he stood where there was a shadow, and he brought light. And I'll never forget that now. That place will be a holy place for me. And as we went around the community, there were so many places that used to be in shadow, like behind the expanding light where it was just sort of junky. Now there's an herb garden. Go and look at it. That's light from darkness. That's giving everything. And if you're living your life and you feel, I have so much more to give, join a community. There is no other joy like it. Once, when we were living in our community in San Francisco, one of the fellows who lived there said, I always felt I had so much to give, but no one wanted it till I came to Ananda. It isn't Ananda that wants it. It's God wants to flow through you with everything that he can as an unimpeded channel. Our job is simply to say, use me, Lord. Flow through me. Let me never say this is enough until it's everything. And when we can give everything, then we start to get the idea. That's when we reach critical mass. What's the difference between somebody who sits to meditate and nods off and somebody who sits to meditate and feels God's presence? It's intensity. It's you practice in the cold light of day by giving everything, joyfully, willingly, happily, eagerly, and then asking, what more can I do? And when we can do that, then we create that critical mass within ourselves, and in the satsang with each other, we can lift up this wonderful planet we live on that is so cross-conflicted with confusion and hatred and violence. And we can show people the possibility of living in the cooperation with God, doing his will joyfully, with enthusiasm, with total self-offering. And then we can stand. I'm so looking forward to the end of my life when I can say to God, I may have fallen down from time to time, but I gave it everything. Let's give everything to God and help each other to do that.
Lord, may we serve you all our days, ever rejoice to sing your praise, as we together your wisdom seek. Charge us with truth whene'er we speak. Lord, may we ever know your will. Come to us when our thoughts are still, as we your guidance with joy receive. May we as one your bliss achieve, as we your guidance with joy